The Commonwealth of Virginia, the Governor Ralph Northam, he's a controversial guy for a number of reasons. A, he made statements seemingly in support of infanticide, and B, he had that awful issue of him being, having a picture of him. I get confused because all these leftists have been caught wearing blackface or Ku Klux Klan outfits and things like that. So he had that issue of being caught in a picture, either in a Klan outfit or blackface or something like that. I mean, it's just so absurd that even I don't follow it as closely as I might otherwise follow it. But, and I'm not going to get into the double standards. If a conservative was caught in similar pictures, what would happen to him? He's still governor of Virginia. But he said on a news interview to WTOP Radio, which is the big radio station, news radio station here in Washington, D.C., and they have a regular interview program with the governor of Virginia because the governor of Virginia is a local politician here. And he's quoted as saying to WTOP Radio, "If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered, that infant would be kept comfortable, the infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and father desires, and then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother." And that was essentially an endorsement of infanticide when you look at the context of the question and what he was asked about. Now the media is pretending he wasn't endorsing infanticide. In fact, he was. I'm probably not the first person who's told you about this. You probably have seen the video already yourself. But what's interesting about it is who was helping him respond to the firestorm in response and the public outrage in response to his comments. Surprise, surprise, Planned Parenthood, which is the nation's largest abortion group. They do the most abortions. They do hundreds of thousands of abortions a year, I think. They're heavily subsidized by the federal government, or at least had been before President Trump made some changes. I'm not sure the status of those changes. And the documents we received, because we asked, and the FOIA is worth recounting because it shows you just how awful in terms of ethics and controversy the governor is. We asked for records of communications for Northam and members of his staff related to abortions, abortion, women's reproductive health, and/or Virginia House Bill 2491, which also famously was seen to endorse abortion up through the 9th month of pregnancy, even afterwards. Judicial Watch likewise requested communications of records between Northam and his staff with Virginia State Representative Kathy Tran, who was the author of that controversial bill, and her staff. Also requested were communications of records between Northam, his staff, and employees and representatives of Planned Parenthood and/or Emily's List. We also sought records in the communications of his staff related to abortion, blackface, the Ku Klux Klan, and/or the possible resignation of Mr. Northam. It's not every day that we can have a credible Freedom of Information Act request to a politician about blackface and the Ku Klux Klan. But that's what has been wrought in Virginia thanks to Governor Northam. So the documents show that Alexis Rogers, a former policy director in the Office of Lieutenant Governor, used a Planned Parenthood Association of Virginia organization account. So she's a former employee, and she evidently took the lead in providing talking points for the governor in response to the controversy. And her suggested talking points include the following: there is no such thing as abortion up until birth. That's false. Making a decision about whether to continue a pregnancy is a complex and personal decision. Politicians have no place in this process. As a physician, I know how important it is to trust my patients or my patients to trust me. There are complicated medical decisions that families deserve to make in private without political interference. So, I mean, 3 of those points are debatable. But to say there is no such thing as abortion up until birth is absolutely false. It's not true. There's a small number of abortions. I don't know what you think, but I think any number of abortions close to birth is wildly outrageous. Don't get me started. The talking points, Roger, is also a tricky Q&A. I love this section. If possible, answer on background, not for attribution. If a woman is in labor, she couldn't and wouldn't have an abortion. That's not true. And that politicians and pro-life groups were characterizing safe legal abortion in a completely inaccurate and misleading way. So this is the big debate about abortion. The left would have you believe that abortion is only done in the first part of pregnancy, and it's only done for weighty reasons. Well, that's not really true. You can get an abortion at any time during pregnancy as long as a doctor will do it and certify it. Did you hear me? You can get an abortion through the entire length of pregnancy, and some bills are suggesting you should be able to, well, there's an opposition to even protecting unborn children who survive abortions. So yes, abortion even after birth. If that's not murder, I don't know what would be. So you have the pro-life, you have Planned Parenthood writing the talking points for this governor who essentially endorsed infanticide. And again, this is a big deal. And why is Judicial Watch getting the information, the only entity in the world getting information on one of the biggest political controversies as it relates to abortion in the last few years? And again, this is in the States, this is in Virginia, and it shows you that you can't just pretend, or you shouldn't, and I know many of you viewers don't pretend this, so I shouldn't say that. But Judicial Watch certainly is aware that there's corruption in your state. And we can't be everywhere, but we pursue corruption where we can in the states. And we're uncovering the truth about a radical special interest group helping the governor of one of the most important states in the country, Virginia, mislead its citizens and the American people about one of the most controversial issues of the day, abortion. And again, it's Judicial Watch that uncovered it. And we can't do it, as I say, we can't do any of our work to protect the Constitution, defend your right to know, vindicate your right to know, and hold government officials accountable to the rule of law without your support.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.